You are now entering the Thick Goddess Energy Morning Show. We in the building. High priestess in the building, didn't let my fears kill me. Transmuted my pain in that cleanse in the rain. Found out I was working and I conquered my demons. I accepted my purpose and the goddess I became. I think I've been sitting here talking to myself. Can you guys hear me now? Good morning, good morning, good morning. I am your host, Ariana, aka Divine Moon Goddess. I was saying, but I was talking to myself, that we are phasing out the name, too many scammers. This is Thick Goddess Energy Morning Show, and you guys will be seeing a lot of different changes coming up in the next month, especially with my businesses, names, things like that. So hopefully you guys will be like, you'll notice it's me and not a scammer. So I'm getting you prepared for the changes coming. Okay. Good morning, Joanne. Good morning, Veronica. Good morning, Sasha. Good morning, Greta. Good morning, Betty. Um, So yeah, a lot of changes coming as we're going into this beautiful year in just devising a plan of really changing our goals. My goals have been to reach as many people, of course, as I can with not only beautiful messages, but to actually help and assist. Biggest thing is to help people heal and regain their power back. I want you guys to know that's like my main focus. My main focus is to help you get your power back. Empowerment is key. Now, of course, I am focusing on my divine feminines, but that does not mean my divine masculines can't tune in, because I do always have lots of love and respect for the divine masculines, okay? But hey, I'm a divine feminine. I can't really speak as a divine masculine, right? I mean, I know I'm masculine as fuck, but I'm still I'm still a divine feminine, right? Thanks, Boo. I don't know who that is in the tribe. It just says Facebook user, but good morning. Um, you do regain your power back, right? When you heal. You definitely do. And I do believe that it's just one of the things I've seen as I've healed over this time is I have little by little got my power back. And so I think sometimes you just got to remember that sometimes we get a little scared to heal. We get scared, but we shouldn't get scared. We shouldn't be afraid to go down the rabbit hole of healing. And I think there's a lot of different layers to why we get scared or why we get in um, those modes of holding on to shit that actually, if we let go, would benefit us way more, right? Good morning, Tiffany. Good morning, Crystal. Good morning, Renee. Good morning, Janelle. Good morning, Let's piss some irritated people off this morning. Good morning. People who are irritated and bah humbug and don't like good mornings. We're gonna irritate them this morning. And it's okay. It's okay if you're one of those people, if you're irritated by my good morning. um, I think we all need more laughter. We all need more laughter in our life. So this morning's show, I do want to talk about some shit. Good morning, Phoenix Rises. I got to get you up here one of these days. We got to talk about it. Um, today I want, before I get into the show, I did want to touch a little bit of astrology with you guys. If you guys didn't know, today is the new moon in Aquarius. Okay. I just want to talk about a little bit of the placements real quick. I'm not going to go too deep in it, but those of you who give a fuck will like this. Those of you who don't, tune out for a second. Okay. Um, it is no coincidence right now. We got a lot of stuff going on. New moon in Aquarius. Okay. So today is going to be one of those days where relationships feel a little distant because of the air energy. Aquarius is not really that emotional energy. Okay, I'm not saying that Aquariuses can't cry. I'm saying the energy of Aquarius is not that emotional. Okay, so today could be a little bit trying as we have a moon in that energy. So emotions could be a little bit distant, but in a group setting, because we know Aquarius is the group, the collective energy. On a group setting, it's easier to disconnect from other people's shit. Okay, you know how normally we get so sucked in people's stuff, we get so sucked in people's trauma and their shit and their sadness, and it's like, but now with the Aquarius energy, it actually lets us disconnect faster. So watch how you're just disconnecting from people's shit. And you're like, damn, that's sad, and I send you love, and whoo, I feel better, and not to be shitty, but some of us get too caught in other people's emotions. Okay, so at the same time, we have Uranus, which is Aquarius's ruler in Aries. Okay. And if you don't know, Uranus is the great awakener. It's like to wake you up, it's to get you to understand who are you. Aries represents the first house, self. All right. So Uranus is shaking up self right now. Who the fuck are you guys? Okay. And you got to remember, spirit does this shit on purpose. This is not like, oh my God, the planets are just aligning in this way. The stars, however you want to see them, stars are planets. I call them stars, but we'll say that for another day. It's like, oh my God, no, it's for a reason. So Aries is like also making moves, getting off your ass, putting the steps that you need. And it's about self. Right now, people are going to seem like they're very selfish. They need to be. They need to be. It's not them being selfish. They need to get their shit together. They need to fucking put time and effort into self. And you need to respect that because you need to do the same. Okay. So even though, yes, it's about the collective and we are as one, but you also need to take some time for you, right? So Uranus shaking up shit in Aries, it's about shaking up the shit within you and becoming who's your true self, your authentic self. Are you who you truly are meant to be? Or are you still with your mask on, faking it until you make it? Okay. Don't do it. So at the same time, Aquarius, which the sun is in Aquarius. So remember, we got the sun and the moon in Aquarius, masculine and feminine energy, both in Aquarius. Yes. Okay. Aquarius has Pluto, Saturn. Those two fuckers are in Aquarius. Okay. Those are not nice planets, you guys. They're not supposed to be nice. They're doing what they came to do. Pluto is the destroyer. If y'all didn't know, Pluto is the destroyer. Some of these planets are actually better in fucking retrograde. And everybody gets crazy like, oh my God, retrograde. No, some of these planets are actually better in retrograde. And right now, none of them are in retrograde, except for, I think, Mercury is the only one that is coming out of retrograde. And then we'll be free of retrograde. But a lot of people get all excited, but honestly, some of these are a beast. Like Pluto is a beast. That's the destroyer. So if you think of the collective, all of us as a collective basis, and you see Saturn and Pluto that's been hitting the collective, right? Why do you think all of these changes are happening? Why do you think all this shit is stripping the governments down? And we won't go too much in it because you know it's YouTube and Facebook and we'll get banned if we say too much. But why do you think what's happening out there is happening out there? Because Saturn is the lord of karma, the lord of lessons, and the lord of restriction. Then you got Pluto that likes to fuck shit up. In a sign of Aquarius, we're in an age of Aquarius. If you guys don't start doing the math and putting this shit together, I just might as well quit today. I just might as well quit today. It's like, look at it. It's aligning up to tell a story here. So on a collective basis, we're getting hit to shift into where we need to be. We're not supposed to be doing the same shit we were doing a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. We're not supposed to be doing the same shit. That's why shit has been happening the way it is. And then you got all this, oh, so and so wants to go to war with us and blah, 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 blah. That's all distraction. It's all distraction to get you to distract from the real shit that's going on out there. And remember, we just had a talk yesterday. If you missed yesterday's morning show, it was get off your ass and do something, change something. And we need to get in our positions, our real positions, not the facade shit that you play every day, because all of this is a role. This is a role, Ariana, and this life is a fucking role. And I'm playing the role. But is it authentic to what we're supposed to be doing? Is it authentic to what we came to change? I'm not saying everybody's going to go out there and be an activist. You don't have to change the world in that way. You can find other ways to change the world. So it's not, like I said, it's not a coincidence that we got the sun and the moon in Aquarius. We're in age of Aquarius. And then you got Pluto and Saturn hitting Aquarius. And then you got Uranus, which is Aquarius's ruler, sitting in Aries. That's a lot of change. That's a lot of force. If you think of the force of those planets, it is pushing you to grow as a collective. People have got way too fucking selfish far as communities. Now, again, you need to figure out who you are in this. Like you can't help anybody if you don't know who you are. You're not going to help nobody. All you're going to do is actually cause more fucking confusion or shit around you, right? So you need to first start with you. Once you figure out who the fuck you are, though, then you could get out there to your communities and start making a difference. Excuse me. Okay? Because as a collective, as a people, as a humanity, we're being fucking shifted. And if you don't see that, if you haven't been paying attention, the stars are aligning in that way. Capricorn right next to Aquarius. We just came out of Capricorn season. Capricorn is getting hit right now. Mars, Mercury, and Venus are in Capricorn. And I would tell you, you got Venus and Mars in Capricorn. Venus and Mars are like twin flames. They're the soulmates of the planets, okay? You know the saying, men are from Mars, women are from Venus. That's what you got. So you got both of those in Capricorn. And if you don't know Capricorn's energy, Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, okay? So Capricorn's actually got a really strict energy. It's a natural strict energy. That's why they like are in line and they do it and they strive in the very ambitious energy because fucking Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn, okay? So you got Mercury also, it's still in retrograde, so it's kind of fucking shit up right now, but it's going to be coming out. So you have that, which is what Mercury controls the mind, communications, technology. Capricorn also is about your career, how people see you. So you got Mars influencing, you got Venus. Venus is about luxury. It's about beauty. So some of you guys might be like, oh, I need to change how I look. I need to comb my hair. Maybe I need a fucking, haircut. Maybe you want to spruce up how you look for your business, because Capricorn is how you are seen, not just on a social sense, but on a business sense, career sense, right? It rules the 10th house. So if you're looking at that right now with Venus in there, you're looking at how do I spruce myself up? How do I spruce my business up? How do I put some money into the space of where I work, right? Whether it's sprucing up your websites, your YouTube, your social media, whatever it is, maybe you're putting a little bit more pizzazz on it. I was going to say bedazzle, but maybe not bedazzle. And then you got Mars energy was like, get shit done. So right now with Mars in Capricorn, like this is the fucking energy to get shit done. And we're coming out of Mercury retrograde. So all the plans you made over the last 3 weeks, all the planning, I'm going to do all my planning and I got everything together and all my notes are together. And now I'm ready to go. Now it's time to go with this energy. Spruce up your resume. There you go, right? Spruce up your fucking resume. Exactly. And this is the energy to do it because you got Mars in Capricorn, Phoenix. You got Mars in Capricorn right now. So take that Mars and Mercury, because Mercury also is communication. So right now, while Mercury is in Capricorn, make those calls, send those emails, apply for those grants, because this is the time to do it. This is the time to do it. Okay. If you were going to do it anytime, this is the time to do it. You have perfect alignment in some of these in these houses and these signs, and if you're not paying attention to it, you're going to miss it. Because like I said, Venus brings that very loving energy, but it's also about luxury. Okay. And it's also about legalities. So Venus is the ruler over Libra, which is legalities. Remember that. So if you want legal shit, contracts, get it. This is the time. Right now, Pisces is just Pisces. Pisces has its natural ruler, Neptune. Jupiter is like halfway. Jupiter is like half in Pisces, half in Aquarius. So it's not completely in Pisces. It's like half and half. And we know Jupiter, just to tell you, Jupiter expands shit. Jupiter is like the dad or the uncle that wants to fucking give you a bunch of gifts, but only if you've, eat your Wheaties. If you ate your vegetables, then Jupiter wants to give you some goods. Okay. Pisces is just Pisces. So in Pisces energy, if we thought about Pisces, really the only thing I kind of feel with Pisces is that you got to be careful with your dreams. Because Neptune is in Pisces, that's the natural ruler. So I don't feel like it's really doing anything crazy to Pisces, but you can get lost in your dreams. So I don't want you guys to get lost in the dream of what you want. I want you to get back into the energy of making and creating what you want. It's easy to sit here and fantasize about the riches, fantasize about the business, fantasize about your name and sparkly fucking lights or whatever it is, or the million views on your channels. It's different to have the fire under your ass and get shit done. Okay. So remember that with Pisces, you could get lost in the fantasy of what you want. Also, those of you in like psychic, if you're thinking of like psychic abilities, clairvoyant abilities, mediumship abilities, Jupiter does expand that energy. So if you want to hone in on your gifts, if you want to learn and open that up, it'd be a perfect time to do so. So again, Jupiter being in Aquarius, also just think of all of this as a collective has been expanded. It's growing, whether negative or positive, you guys. The planets don't discriminate, okay? The planet is like, if you got negative shit going on, Jupiter's like, that's going to be expanded, right? If you got positive shit going on, then boom, we're going to create that more, right? I know, and that's a problem. Pisces, you dream a lot, and I love it. You dream. You guys are dreamers. You're the epitome of dreams, but don't get caught in those dreams, because the worst thing you could do is sit in the dream of what you want, but never make it happen in today. Because if you don't put the time and effort in today, what you're dreaming about is not going to fucking happen. There's no way. You got to be present. Everything that you're doing, you got to be present and you got to act on it today. So don't get caught in your dreams and your fantasies. I want to say your fantasies because it's a dream when you're actually working towards it. It's a fantasy when you just keep dreaming about it. Know the difference, you guys. And then some of y'all got some fucking illusions. Some of y'all are in some illusions and you need to wake up. So don't get lost in that energy. So I just wanted to tell you guys about that. Astrology, because I've been off of my astrology game trying to get a lot of stuff together, and now that my schedule is quieting down from classes and stuff, no more live classes right now. I got a little bit more time to kind of get my shit together, right? I will not have any live classes, at least for the first 6 months of the year. I don't know when I'll be doing my live classes again. I just don't know, y'all. I don't know. You guys know I'm building another platform. I hope to have that platform done By June, I'm giving myself by the summer because I've had some delays with that. So hoping to have that platform built and ready to go. It's a self-paced learning. I keep hearing, you guys ever see Hercules, the cartoon from like the 90s? And there's a part where like I think he's Hermes, the messenger is like indoor plumbing is gonna be big. I keep fucking hearing that every time I'm thinking about my fucking platform. So, whatever. Thing about it is you just got to keep going, and you can't let people and their bullshit. So what we're talking about today, that's where we're going to go to today, because what we're talking about today is actually that you can't allow people's jealousy, envy, to bother you. That's like my one of my favorite Disney movies is Hercules. I could probably recite the whole fucking movie, but we're not going to go there. So Greta, that's what you got to do. You got to get out of that fantasy, boo. You got to get out of that fantasy. Thank you, Phoenix. Because it's great to dream, and I'm a dreamer. I'm a Sag. Okay, Sagittarius is always dreaming. We live in dreams, but that is not going to help you if you don't bring it to life, right? You just staying in the dream state. So it's about action. It is. I fucking love that movie. I have always loved that movie. Not to mention the songs. I'm a musical person, if you didn't know. So let's get into it. I wanted to talk about a lot of times we go through our lives, and a lot of us know by now, right, in our path. Hey, Leo, I don't know if I said Leo. Hey, Leo. A lot of times we're going through our path and we start to realize how other people's other people's fears and stuff have transmuted or transmitted through us, and we pick up other people's fears because other people don't think it can be done, so then we start to think it can't be done. And I will say that of course everyone is a little bit different, but for the most part we've all experienced that in some way, shape, or form, right? So you're gonna go through times where maybe something hits you and you feel that jealousy or that sting of someone doing something, or maybe you have fear of something that someone's doing. Don't allow that to cloud yourself in those moments. Process it. Take that minute to process what you're feeling. It's not that everybody's shitty that's jealous. No, it's normal. It's a normal thing people fucking go through, right? Sometimes it's hard to be happy for someone when you're doing bad in your life, even if it is your fault, okay? Even if you're the problem, it's hard to be happy for someone if you're not happy. So I get it. It's a natural emotion. You can feel it. Just don't get stuck in it. Yeah, Sag is always daydreaming about some shit. I've had to change myself from getting caught in the fantasy of shit and be like, no, what's your reality? um, so we look at these terms, envy, jealousy. We look at them as bad terms. They're not really bad terms. If you've done shadow work, you kind of know a little bit about that. It's not that they're bad terms. It's don't get stuck in it. Don't stay there. Because once you stay there, that's where you start to bring in the lower level energy into your life, and that's where shit just doesn't go well. It's when you start to act on those emotions, that you start to say shit on those emotions, or you decide to belittle someone or down talk them or minimize them on what they got going on. This is where you have to watch what you're saying. Thank you, boo. You too. You have to be able to notice your own feelings and emotions. You have to be able to not only notice them, become aware of them, but actually be able to change the energy before you say some crazy shit, or before you let all right, we're gonna send you some vibes, boo. Before you get to that point where you're allowing yourself to lash out. I've seen it a lot of times where people are afraid to talk or even to say who they learned from. They're afraid because there's this fear in competition, like that we got to compete and there's not enough for everyone. So you got to allow yourself to process what you're feeling, but not always acting on everything that you're feeling in that moment. Daniela, we're going to send you so much love. Yeah. And that too. And the biggest thing I could say with that, Greta, is when somebody is telling you what you're doing is not going to work out, right? It don't fucking matter. It does not matter what they say. It's what you're doing. Whether it works out or not, that's your experience, right? What you do have to realize is that not to stop doing what you're doing based on somebody else's fear. It's like, no, you didn't do it or you can't do it. That has nothing to do with me. Okay. Right. I've been there, on this path with some people and stuff, and I've seen that where, you talk about something that you're going to do, or you're talking about something you do it, it's not been done, or they haven't done it, right? And so there's this fear, and there's this judgment towards it, and you can feel it. I mean, you could feel it. It's like, we're not stupid, right? So you got to kind of let yourself backtrack and just say, nope, let that go. Let me release that. That's that person's insecurity, or that's that person's fear. That's that person's shit. I don't need to respond to that. Just say, okay, that's how you feel. Thank you. Now, if you asked for their opinion, thank you for your opinion. If you didn't ask for it, thank you for the unwanted advice. Um, just remember that you're going to have people who don't see your vision. They can't see your vision, they're not in your mind. You're going to have people that are just automatically negative as fuck about everything. But you got to look at their lives. Is this person, look at this person's life. Is this someone you should be getting advice from? Is this someone that you should be getting business advice from, or fucking life advice from? Never get advice about anything from someone who has not done it. I learned that from a couple of very wealthy people that I watch. And if you guys ever seen, shit, what's his name? Hold up, I'm gonna tell you. I watch a couple really amazing speakers, really amazing. Tony Robbins is one of them. If you guys don't watch Tony Robbins, you fucking sleep. All right. Tony Robbins is fucking phenomenal. And there was a time where I kind of thought maybe he was just bullshit, but I actually caught him on an interview and I got to see a little bit more backstage of him. And I was like, oh no, he's the real deal. He's actually the real fucking deal. Um, Hold up, I'm gonna tell you. I watched this guy called Lewis. I think his name is Lewis Howes, and he actually interviews all these great people, like huge great people. I'm actually going to put the Tony Robbins interview in the comments so you guys can go watch it, because it was fucking amazing and it was inspirational to me. Good morning, Evelyn. So I'm going to pop that in the chat right now. You guys go check it out. It actually was that interview with Tony Robbins was probably one of the best interviews I've seen of him. And hands down, I was like, yes, that's what I'm talking about. Um, he actually interviews a lot of people. So definitely go check out his channel. What is his name? I'll have to search the other guy. There's this other guy I just recently came across, and I don't know why I can't. It's Jeffrey something, but I gotta find it. So anywho, I won't spend too much time. I will find that one and bring it to you guys tomorrow, because he had some very phenomenal just advice. And it blew me away of how just real it was, just real. So you got to remember that there will be people that are jealous because you're doing something that they couldn't do. You're going to have people that are jealous because you speak better than them. But remember, jealousy comes from an inner insecurity, doesn't come from anything you're doing per se. That's why you should never change what you're doing because somebody else is jealous of you. You should never change how you move because somebody else is jealousy, right? Someone's jealousy comes from their insecurities. And if you're jealous about anyone, and we all have had this in our lives at some point in time, I don't give a fuck who you are, you've had moments where you felt it. Stop in that moment, because that's coming from your insecurity, not the other person. When you're envious of someone's life, like, oh, I wish I could do that. Most people say that, but would never fucking get up at the time that person gets up every day, would never put in the amount of hours that that person puts in a day, but will sit back and be like, damn, I wish I could have that, but it's with a very shitty energy. But you wouldn't put the time or day. You wouldn't fucking make a move. You wouldn't get off your ass and make a call. But somehow you're envious of this person's life. It's very easy to see somebody in their very successful state and be like, man, this person has it all. You know, if you guys who are barely watching me, right, you see me up here and you're like, man, she's cool. She's got this going on, blah, blah, blah. But you didn't see when I started. You didn't see where I came from, right? You didn't see any of that. So you haven't seen me evolve over time. And you haven't seen my darker days, you know, coming into my lighter days. It's very easy to sit back and say this person has it easier. It's very easy to be like, oh, this person has it made, or this person was given, you know, something was given to them, or someone has hand me down. It's that's coming from your own bullshit, not from anyone else. So if you find yourself coming into those modes where it's like, damn, this person's easy, this person has it easy, you know, like that also comes from, like I said, your own shit. I remember I had a friend, and like her dad paid for a lot of shit for her. And I'd be like, damn, I would love to have a dad like that, you know? Just pay for shit that I want. Just fucking pay for shit. But in reality, that wasn't my life. It wasn't meant to be my life, you know? And I still love my dad, even though he didn't get to pay for shit like that, you know? But now he's making moves for me in the spirit world. You just got to remember that regardless to somebody else's life and path, it's different. If you ever get to the point of why is this person's life better than mine, you got to remember that everybody is a individual. You're all unique to your own journey. So there is really no reason to look at someone else's life and be like, oh, they have it easier. You don't know how many times this person has come back to pay their karma. And now this life, they get to live a happy life with no problems, no murder, no death, no nothing. You don't know that information. You don't. So Saran the shaman is a scammer. We're going to block them now. You don't know that. You have none of that information. So just remember that when you are moving in this life, and I hope this helps you to become more aware of how you speak to people, what you say and how you feel. And when you have those moments, because people, it's fucking normal shit. We wouldn't have these feelings if we weren't supposed to experience it and learn from it. The biggest thing is learn from it, not hold on to it. So if you can understand that the next time you're feeling this, or you come across this, or someone's projecting it to you, then you can become aware of that and you can move forward, or move in a certain way. We are supposed to experience this, but we don't know what other people's lives are, and we don't know what their past lives have been. And everybody, if we can just remember that everybody's path is unique to it, you know, it's unique and separate and individualized. Is that a fucking word? I know it's a word, but I don't think I'm saying it right. Individualized. Anywho, for each one of us, right? If so, you know, a lot of these anger, mad at somebody else because they did what you couldn't, you know, or they're mad at you because you're doing what they couldn't. Has nothing to do with you. Has nothing to do with them. It has to do with the person who's angry in that moment. It's coming from your bullshit, your self anger that you didn't do what you were supposed to do, right? And people, this is normal shit. Don't be embarrassed of this, because everybody goes through this. I don't give a fuck who's sitting next to you, like, that ain't me. I don't get mad at nobody. One time in your life, there's at least one time in your life, I don't give a fuck if it was the Barbie car when you were a child that you didn't get but your friend had. You had that moment of jealousy. You had that moment of envy. Why didn't I get that Barbie car? Okay? So there's going to be at least one moment in your life that you had it, right? So just remember, when other people are going through this, it's not for us to hate them. It's not for us to be like, oh, bitch, you fucking negative. I got to get away from you. Sometimes maybe it's for us to help them become aware of their own shit, you know? Maybe it's for us to just keep striving. But if you let other people's emotions, insecurities, fears, anger stop you from growing, then you will always be in this place of whatever society says you are, or whatever the people around you say you are. That's what you'll be. You'll never move forward, right? When it comes to fear, it's again, sometimes, most of the time, fear is unrealistic. I will say all time fear is unrealistic. Even when we're fearful of something we've already been through, is unrealistic to a certain point. We've already been there. We know how bad it can get in that particular situation. Sometimes we know it could get worse, but the fear that we have is unrealistic. It keeps us caged regardless if it's warranted, regardless if it comes to some type of memory. The fear will keep you in a cage. And so if you are afraid, or you're allowing someone else's fear to stop you from living your life, what are you doing? The people who make it, like really make it out of their comfort zone, are the people who get out of their comfort zone. Now, if you just want to stay in your comfort zone and that's what you want to do this lifetime, I ain't mad at you. Do your thing. But if you're sitting in your comfort zone every day, wishing that you could be the person who succeeds higher, you got to push. You got to get out of that comfort zone, because some people are very happy where they're at, and that's fine. This is not oh, you need to do better even when you don't want to do better. No. And my better and someone else's better is two different betters, right? My ambition and somebody else's ambition may not match. And there's no judgment or comparison. The ambition is totally different. But you got to look at your life. And if you're not happy with your success, if you're not happy with where you're at, then you need to push forward. Okay? Then you need to push. Then you need to get off your ass and make some choices. Exactly. Exactly. Betty, exactly. And a lot of people they're ashamed to say it, but that's part of shadow work. Shadow work will get you. Shadow work will get you to start to become aware and start to love yourself even in the darkest moments, because that's what shadow work is for. And you'll understand that, damn, I've been jealous many times. And I'm not ashamed to say that. I have many of times. I've been in many shitty, negative spaces where I would project my jealousy out instead of just genuinely being happy for people. But I was miserable. So, again, very hard to be happy for someone when you're miserable as fuck. Those are your key triggers to tell you it's time to get some shit together. It's time to change your life. It has nothing to do with the person. It's not the person's accomplishments that's pissing you off. It's not that this person made it in their life. That has nothing to do with you. Nothing to fucking do with you. And you're mad at their accomplishments. That has everything to do with self. And if you can't start to understand that and see this, you're not going to become someone who's aware. When we talk about leveling up, we talk about ascending, right? Ascension. We talk about getting to the next level. That is how you do it. You first start to become aware of your own fucking traits, whether you call them darker, negative, whatever. They're a part of us. We have this human identity, this personality, this ego in this life for a reason. We came here to experience. Just don't stay in it. Just don't stay in it. I've been jealous way too many times, and I can own that. I'm confident enough in my life right now where I can own it. You know, exactly. And that's a big thing amongst siblings. When I was little, and I've told you guys this before, when I was little, my brother was an A student. My brother was easy. His mind just worked, very logical mind, I guess. And I was the artsy child that was in space. And so he was like always on the honor roll and shit. It was easy for him. And for me, I just didn't give a shit about what they were teaching. I didn't. Like, let's be real. I did not care. I loved when we did arts, and I remember painting, but anything that had to do with classwork and shit, I didn't give a fuck. And I didn't listen. And I'd be in La La Land, right? But what hurt me was, instead of, schools don't push you to be what you are, because if schools seen, oh, this child is very into arts, let's teach this one arts. Maybe we'll do math with art. They just push you to learn how they want you to learn. We won't get too much into that, but my mom would introduce us as my brother, the honor roll student. And then I was like the other child. There was nothing that she could really say about me that she was proud of. And so that, as a child, hurt. Like, that hurt deep. And it was just like, damn, my brother's the honor roll student. And I don't know why they did this, but my brother would get these certificates. Your kids get these certificates. My daughter used to get these like Pizza Hut certificates. My brother would get these Pizza Hut or Sizzler fucking certificates from being on the damn honor roll. And she would make me go with them, even though she didn't have any money. And even though we weren't going to eat as a family, you know what I mean? It was only for him to get his free pizza or his free food. And then I would have to just kind of watch. So it was actually pretty fucking damaging. It's actually pretty fucking damaging as a kid. So you grow up thinking that you're less than. You already, as a child, have this lesson. So parents, please don't do this shit to your kids. Please don't fucking introduce one as, oh, that's the scientist. And that's the fucking jerk off. You know what I mean? Like, don't do that. That's the one that's going to be a lawyer. That's the one that's probably going to murder people. You're instilling it in your child's mind, your fears, your projections. I'm actually fucking smart as fuck. I just didn't process the way other people process. If they had the labels that they had when I was a kid, I would have been ADD, ADDDD times 5, 10, 20. I probably would have been autistic. They literally would have put me down as so much shit and had me on probably a bunch of medications, if they had all the titles when I was a kid. But they didn't have all those. They didn't have all those tests and shit when I was little. I was just the slow one. Even though I could hear them, even though I can process, I was looked at as I was a little slow. So this is what, don't do that, you guys. If your parents, and I hope you catch yourself after today, where you start to boast up one of your children, but the other ones aren't, you don't got nothing to say. Try to find some things to encourage them. Find some things that they're good at to give them their props. Because just because one is great at math or this, that, and the third, and the other one isn't, this is where that division goes from childhood. And that's something I had to work through, because me and my brother actually did. We had this fucking competitive energy towards each other from little. And it was like there was no need. There was no need to compete. There was no need to ever be. But I don't think my parents realized, especially my mom, I don't think she realized she was doing that. I don't think in those moments she realized she was just so proud of him, her baby boy, the honor roll, and it was just like, yeah. And then my other kid over here, the other one. So look, we have a lot of childhood shit, right? We have a lot of shit baggage that we have from kids, and this is how you start to understand and learn, right? You learn and become aware of your shit, right? Exactly. And you just, the thing about it is, I was never a fast reader. I was always a slow reader, but I could read, right? But you could give me other shit, and I can fucking multitask. My mind is like a fucking computer at times. I'm like all over the place. People are amazed at how much shit I could do at one time. But if you sit me into a class with a subject that I don't like or I'm not interested in, I've checked out in the first 5 minutes, and I don't remember shit else. I remember going to college, and I was so excited to just have community college experience. And I remember in all of my science classes, I was knocked the fuck out. And I would wake up when everyone's leaving. And I'd be like, damn, I missed the whole fucking lecture. Suck ass. Good morning, Victoria. And I think Debbie also start to pull what they are amazing for. One of the things I learned with my daughter when we talked when she got older, a lot of things that she felt that I said was she felt that I said them just because I was mom. You have to say that you're mom. And I was like, no, I didn't. I didn't have to tell you a damn thing. I could have just said you fucking suck. You fucking no. So start, even you're like, man, my baby's amazing. Start to find what are they amazing at. Get more specific so they can see it resonates with them with those words. Not just you're amazing. What are you amazing? I love when you do this. I love how you do this in your own way. And this is the way that they don't have to compete because they know that they're good at what they're good at, but you're giving them specifics. Not to say you're wrong, Debbie, because I think that's beautiful that you tell them every morning that you're amazing. Right. And honestly, I'm not mad at my mom for taking my brother. I just wish she didn't take me with him. I think like you should celebrate your child, and if you have one child that gets a certificate, they've gone above and beyond. They earned it. And I don't think you should take that away from them just because the other kids are going to get jealous. See, that's where you have to balance as a parent. It's not fair to the child that busted their ass, that did all their work, that fucking turned it in, that showed up, that smiled, whatever the fuck that they did and got their certificates, and the other ones didn't. They need to do better and they should learn that. But what I didn't like was just the way that my mom handled it. It could have been like, okay, I'm taking your brother, you stay with your dad, taking your brother to go get a certificate. That might have been like, damn, I don't get to go. Maybe I'll do better. And honestly, I never did because I just didn't give a fuck. As a kid, I just I couldn't get it. I think I flunked first grade like 2 times. I think they wanted to help hold me back in kindergarten because I was just play, play, play. And then first grade, I was held back twice. And I still have a paper to this day that says Ariana doesn't know her last name. She doesn't know her city. She doesn't know her state. She doesn't know her address. She doesn't know anything. And I can tell you for like the first 5 years of my life, I don't remember a lot of it. There's a lot that I don't remember. I have like bits and pieces of my memory, but I don't fucking remember half of that. No, it's not fair, Evelyn. It's not fair. I know we all want to look. I'm going to tell you, I'm one of these people. I don't feel every child needs a fucking trophy in everything. If you didn't work for it, why the fuck are we giving it to you? I feel that's where we want to include everyone in everything, right? But when you've worked really hard to do what you've done, you should get those trophies. You should get those certificates. And you should be able to go by yourself with your parent and go fucking, experience that without your siblings who didn't get a fucking certificate. Look, I mean, I'm just this type of parent. Like, if you got it, you worked for it, great, let's celebrate it. But I don't think, oh, just take the other kids and pay for them, even though they didn't get one. That's not really fair. Because we're basically saying no matter what you do in life, you're going to be rewarded. That's what you're telling them. You're like, basically, no matter if you do good or not, you're going to get rewarded just because. So the mindset of a child who thinks I'm going to get rewarded regardless to if I do good or not, that's not how fucking life is. That's not life. When they get out there in the real world and they don't do what they're supposed to do, they won't get rewarded. They won't get those bonuses. They won't get promoted to the next level. Ambition comes from pushing to do better, not as a aggressive parent, right? Pushing your child to do better, but it comes from you inside wanting to do better. So sometimes the jealousy, the envy works because you're like, damn, I want that trophy. Damn, I want that certificate. I got to do better. Mm-hmm. I don't think that we I think you need to celebrate because some children do go above and beyond what they do. The fucking child that makes the damn volcano and shit for the science project. And then you got the kid that put like two toilet paper sticks together because that's what they wanted to do. Yes, celebrate both of them, but you got to give the kid credit that fucking made a whole goddamn fucking volcano. Like you can't overpass that and say, everyone gets a trophy. Even though this kid took hours, he been working on this shit for months. And then the kid that was last minute, because I was a last minute kid. I was a kid last minute doing every fucking thing. I don't know if that's a sad thing, but I was always last minute. And so a lot of my shit always looked fucked up. You can't sit and say the kid that's been working on their project for weeks and shit doesn't deserve that extra kudos. You could see. Now, let's be honest. We know some of these parents be up in here doing this shit with them. We know some of these parents be we know. But I still feel like you can kind of tell if the child made it or the parents made it, okay? Exactly. And I think that's a high five. Good morning, Michelle. Betty, that's a high five. High five, kudos, you fucking showed up. That's like me going to work. And then I sit there and I don't do my job. And they're like, "Oh, but you still want to get paid." No, I showed up. I still want my paycheck. That's not life. So are we teaching kids life or are we fucking we're pre-programming them to think that life is going to bless them regardless. I mean, at the end of the day, we're all blessed, right? But we know life is harsh. We know this, right? You can't just show up. You got to show up and really put effort. Right, right, right. Look at that. She made a homemade flashlight, and everybody probably got a fucking trophy, which they should have been like, this girl made a homemade fucking flashlight. We need to commend her. So sometimes jealousy, sometimes that envy is going to be the push for us to do better with ourselves. So the trick is not to stay in it. The trick is not to lash out because of it. Because some people, when they're jealous, they'll lash out. Oh, you're not shit. You're not going to be shit. Oh, you think you're all that because you're doing this? Oh, you think you all that because you fucking know math? The trick is not to stay it and let it consume you. Let it be part of that kicker to get you off your ass. Allow your children to experience it so they can learn how to control it, become aware of it, understand what it is to feel that jealousy, but process it. Because we don't take the time as parents to process it with them, right? We know they're being jealous. We just tell them, "You're being jealous. Go in the room. Go sit down." We didn't have a conversation with this child. We didn't talk to them about what jealousy is. We didn't talk to them about it, what it means, and we didn't talk to them about anything. We just told them, "You're jealous. Go in the room. You're jealous. Get away from me." Are we taking the time as parents, or are we not? That actually is pretty dope, Debbie. That's a bomb ass idea. I believe it, Michelle. I believe it. I believe it. If you want something bad enough, you will show up. You will put in the work. I don't think two people that didn't put the same effort should both get fucking rewarded. That's not how life goes. That's why some people are successful and some people aren't. Because some people just show up. I just show up to where they tell me to show up. Life says show up here, I just show up. And other people go above and beyond. That's the biggest difference. And those two people should not be. And they don't. As an adult, we know. If you don't have that same ambition to drive, to move, to grow, to be creative, to expand, you sit in the same fucked up job for 20 years, unless that's what you want to do. But we know the unhappy people. You know the unhappy person that's been at a job for like 20 years. That motherfucker bitches and complains every day. All they got is some negative shit to say about the company. And you're just like, damn, lady, you need to retire. or a guy, maybe a guy. Right. One thing I got to realize as a kid is that, well, the bad part is because there was so much shit that happened, I kind of felt the unworthiness and I wasn't good enough. So that kind of hindered me. And then I had, like, lost my daughter in my teens. So that really hindered me. Um, so if I didn't have probably the death of my daughter, I probably would have been a different child. I probably would have been a different person, because I was always a bit of a rebel, especially when I got to my teen ages. I became a rebel in my energy. And if you told me I couldn't do something, I'd prove you wrong, just to fucking prove you wrong. Not even because I liked it or wanted it, just to prove you wrong that you said I couldn't do it. Um, so sometimes those energies of others kind of push us to do what we normally wouldn't do, right? I think, and that's one of the biggest things, Crystal, is that people have to experience failure. You have to experience falling down to get back up. You can't experience it, right? If you never fall, if you never fucking fall, how do you get the fuck back up and understand what it is and what it takes to get the fuck up? And this is why I tell a lot of parents, we want to stop our children from learning. We want to stop the lessons because as parents, we don't want them to ever have any heartache and pain. I get it. Man, I get it. I still am like that. My youngest is fucking almost 25. I get it. But we can't. We can't protect them from everything. They need to understand and grow and have their experiences. As parents, we are here to support and guide them, not fucking shield them from everything of life. And then their decisions will then create bigger consequences. But that's a part of their life, you know? Thank you for sharing, Boo. And everything is not fucking free. We know that. Yeah. And family is what, the thing about it, the closest people to us sometimes project their own fears, jealousy, and envy on us. But a lot of times that is comes up from their own childhood and the lack of awareness. And so the biggest thing for us to do as people is to start to create an awareness of these emotions and feelings. Not that they're bad. We need to start having conversations about it. There are moments when your child is going to be jealous. There's moments you'll still be jealous in this life. There's still moments where you'll be like, fuck, I wish I had that. And then you'll catch yourself and you're like, oh, you know what? I don't even need that. Or, maybe I need to work harder for that. You'll see it. Right? Real shit. Teachers do make or break us in so many ways. I can count on one hand how many good teachers I actually had. And I honestly will tell you, they came at pivotal moments of my life. I needed those teachers at that moment. So thank you, Spirit, because if I hadn't had those particular teachers in those moments, I probably would have failed. Um, and so I think I had three total teachers in elementary that I even remember to this day. And one, two of them is my fourth and in fifth grade, no, sixth grade teacher, my fourth and sixth grade teacher. Um, but other than that, all the rest of them are a blur. I do remember my teacher in medical assistant school. She was fucking awesome. She was a nurse. And I do remember her. She taught me a lot in that class. I learned a lot from her. You know what the thing about it though? Voodoo is not dark magic, Greta. A lot of people, if you study, and I haven't studied voodoo, but I've looked into voodoo just to um you guys know I like to learn shit, right? Voodoo is called dark, but it's not dark. There's nothing dark about voodoo. Um there's no real thing is dark magic, okay? Um, your intentions are good or bad. There's not really this thing called dark magic where people say magic is magic or intentions are intentions. Voodoo is not bad. Voodoo was never intended to be bad. It's just another religious practice, like all of the island or other continents, we'll just say, right? But if you don't do the research on this stuff, you will always have that perception of what it is. Because voodoo actually is not dark. It's actually not bad. It's actually not demonic. The only reason why people put that connotation on it is because we all know the slave trade. We all know that people from Africa were then, as slaves, and they had to hide to do their religious practices. Voodoo was one of them. And so with that is why all of the practices that came from like the African culture, the different African cultures were deemed as dark and negative. One, because the slave owners didn't understand it and it went against their religious belief systems at the time. And so they had to practice it in secret. It's the only reason why it's oh so dark. It's not really dark. It's just another form of practicing. There's all these levels to voodoo. Voodoo is not. So when people say voodoo, it's like that's the mythology of that has come through the generations of people looking at it with wrong eyes. And so when you actually start looking through a lot of this stuff, and I tell all of you guys, do your own research, right? Do your own research and look into this, but do understand that a lot of these things are not dark. They're not demonic. They're not, dark magic is not really a thing. The only real I wouldn't even call that dark magic. It's just another form of practice. Is if you go into like Satanism, right? That's probably the darkest shit that you could fucking do, right? And even with that, that's a different form of practice. Although I wouldn't do it, right? But if you just look at voodoo and stuff like that, it's not actually dark. So I know that that's the stipulation or the kind of stereotype of what voodoo dolls are. But voodoo dolls are actually, if you look into voodoo dolls are not just to cause harm to people, right? And it's there's a thing to it like acupuncture. When like if you look at the Chinese who did acupuncture to doing points of the body, that's what the voodoo doll was created in that way. If you look at how it was created in those ways. There's certain points to alleviate pain, alleviate symptoms and stuff like that, right? The needles in there are not to harm. It was in a healing sense. But if you take the rhetoric, right, and the stereotypical bullshit, like, oh my God, and everyone has turned it into dark where these voodoo dolls are for bad or to cause harm. And that's not actually the practice. That's not actually the practice of every voodoo practitioner. Not every voodoo practitioner is over here sticking pins and needles in a doll to cause harm. A lot of it is in the same way you would if you went to the acupuncture, except they're doing it with the doll and they're doing it through spirit ancestor kind of energy. So I know it looks crazy, and if you see something that looks scary because you don't understand the culture. You're looking at a culture that puts either like bones and shit in their nose and their ears and stuff. So you're looking at stuff. They even have little figurines that they put the nails in their god figurines. So if you look at some of these wooden kind of markings of their gods or their spirits that they pray to, and they put nails in those, and those nails were representing to whether it was the ailment or whatever that they were trying to help. It's not evil. It just looks crazy to us because we don't know it. We don't know what it is, and we don't take the time to learn about somebody else's culture. We just get scared. And so that's unfortunately the bullshit that people have said. But I've taken the time to learn a lot about different cultures, especially voodoo's been one of them. And I'm not going to act like I know everything about voodoo. I'm not a voodoo priest, but I have taken the time to kind of look into a lot of voodoo practices. I looked at a lot of shit when I was out in Louisiana. Also, happened to get a couple good books when I was out there. I've done a lot of, watching a lot of different people. There's one voodoo chick that I watch. I can't remember her name. It's the House of Haas, and it's like Haus. I saw a couple interviews on her, which I loved how she talked about it. You just got to do your diligence, okay? Again, don't let other people's fears, create that barrier from you to learn, to seek, to get that information. Yeah, not everybody's a crazy voodoo witch doctor. Wiccan, yeah. And Wiccan is another, good morning, Skip, is another, practice. It's another practice. I think we have to do our diligence, and not everything from every culture or every religion are you going to believe in. And, you know, Wicca is another religion, voodoo is another religion, Santeria is another religion. All of these are religious practices that encompass rituals. So you have your religion, which is Christianity, or your Catholic, Baptist, or whoever, right? But you also have these other practices that just encompass rituals, herbs, and spell work, and chanting, and whatever it is that they do. It doesn't mean they're all bad. Shit, you got fucking priests that do bad shit. I mean, come on, let's be real. Um, so you just got to get out of the box of what the narrative of what you think and allow yourself to grow and learn about other stuff. I've looked into a lot of Wicca things, and again, it's not everybody is this satanic crazy person, behind there. A lot of it is beautiful. A lot of it is just honoring nature. A lot of it is just honoring spirit. You look at a lot of Native American practices, which they use spirit, and they use, a lot of ritual techniques, and it is honoring, their ancestors, honoring the lines that came before them that honored the sun or honored the wind, everything on our earth. So, again, you got to take that moment and just kind of take a step back and say, okay, this is what everyone has told me. This is what society has said, but let me not keep this fear. Let me not keep this shit. Let me learn about it before I go and run off with my judgment or my fear on this particular situation, right? Yeah, see, the movies makes everything look crazy as fuck, but the movies do that on purpose, right? Just like I told you guys, like on those paranormal movies and shit, fucking demons are not touching your light bulbs. They do other shit. They're not touching your light bulbs, okay? If you take what movies say, everything for 100% truth, you'll be misguided every time. There's bits and pieces of truth in the movies, but you really got to go to source and people who actually practice it, that talk about it, that are willing to talk about it, because a lot of these are very, a lot of these are very hush hush, because they still look at them as sacred practices. You won't find a lot of people talking about voodoo because, again, a lot of people call it as a sacred practice. You don't have a lot of people discussing what they do. Not that it's bad, it's just it's sacred. And I think a lot of our cultures have not gotten out of the years of oppression, even like on a Wicca basis, where you're looking at Salem and all these witches were fucking burned. So there's centuries of this oppression when it comes to rituals. So a lot of people are not willing to talk about it yet, because everyone is still demeaning us. Everyone is still, putting us as these demonic fucking people, right? We're over here doing this crazy shit. And even when you look at people who do still sacrifice goats in their religion, there's a huge meaning, and I actually had to kind of see that. It's all your attention, what you do, the belief systems. Although I wouldn't do it, it's kind of sad. I don't even think I could kill a chicken. I think that would be sad too. If I had to kill my own chicken, I'd probably not. I probably would fuck up. Exactly. The quilt, the sewing, because you see them. My mom sews, right? And she had a bunch of those fucking quilt things. Some of them were tomatoes, some of them were other kind of shit, and she had all her pins in those. Yeah, I have been learning more about herbs, because I do want to get that license. This is one of the other licenses that I want next, because I do want to get more into the holistic healing part about things. And a lot of these cultures, whether it's voodoo, whether it's Wicca, whether it's, They go into holistic healing. You know, if you look in like a lot of the Asian cultures, they do a lot of holistic healing. So it's not demonic. We just got to do our, we have to do our diligence. And we have to look beyond what the media is showing us. We got to look beyond the stories of TV, because remember, they're stories. They're added on to make it crazier. Now, not everything in American Horror Story is true. Now, the crazy lady in Louisiana, she was true. She was real. And I'm not saying that there aren't some crazy people, okay? Just like there's crazy people everywhere. You know, they've had doctors that have sliced people up for, and they've been cuckoo. But not everyone who practices a certain belief system is bad or demonic, or that they're into like, you know, some crazy demonic shit. So this is where you got to understand there's light and dark everywhere. There's dark lawyers. There's dark fucking doctors. There's dark politicians. We see them all the time, right? There's light and dark everywhere. We all have it in us, and we all have the ability to be either one. It's what we choose. It's our your intentions, right? I don't know. Um, I may, I may. I don't know. We'll see. All right. So that's today. That's my spiel. Just remember, it's all normal. Just don't stay there. Good morning, Heather. Yeah. And that's the thing, you know, like one Wicca does it a certain way. You go to another religion, you know, they may do it a different way with their candle and the colors. Predominantly, most people do the same with the colors. Across the board, most people do spell work the same with colors. I kind of do my own thing sometimes, depending on what I feel, because I'm an intuitive witch or intuitive ritualist. I don't stick to the regular shit that people do. Sometimes I'm called to, sometimes I don't. I really just kind of allow my intuition. That's how I practice. I'm very intuitive. I tap in, and if I'm, you know, given the green light per se, then I'll do particular work. If I'm not, I won't. And I do work with the moon cycles. So the moon cycles are something that I've tuned into with my soul. That's just something I've always been connected to the moon. But I don't have a um, particular religion that I practice under, because I love a little bit of all of them. I think they all have very great points about them. And I think there's some amazing things that you can learn from every one of them. But I don't like rules. And I don't like people telling me I can't do certain shit when I want to do certain shit. Like you're telling me you can only light a yellow candle on a Tuesday at 5 p.m. at a waning moon on a waxing evening. I'm going to be like, no, that's just my energy. Nope. And I've had a lot of success in what I do. So particularly for me, I'm not a person of rules. Okay. That's why I don't, you know, I'm not in the religion of Santeria, which is, you know, in my family. I'm not. It's too many rules. Okay. I just can't do it. I just can't do it. And you know, anyone who does is more, you know, there's no judgment against you guys. I think you guys are awesome, but I can't. I don't like the rules, and I don't like anybody telling me what I can't do. And I told you, I do, I do what I want. I'm a rebel. I'm a rebel. So I'm going to do the horoscope. I'm not doing any cards for anyone this morning. I'm going to do the horoscope, and I'm going to tell you guys what you guys got going on for today. Yeah, I've lived with some bad spirits too. My mom and them used to do seances in probably every house I've ever been into, but there's one that I particularly remember. Some crazy shit used to go on in that house. So I mean, there's lower energies there. You gotta realize that if it was that easy for them to fuck with us, everybody would be possessed. Just remember that part. If you don't remember anything else, just remember, if it was that easy for lower level energies to fuck with you, we'd all be possessed. We would. So just remember that, okay? When you're all afraid and fearful about some lower level energy, just remember, they have to get permission from you to possess you, unless you are weak-willed. If you are weak-willed, you will allow it without even realizing that you did. So if I tell you anything, you guys, Work on your willpower and your mind. And then you don't have to worry about anything. Okay. All right. So it's Aquarius season. We're going to start from Aquarius all the way to Capricorn. I was like, who? Yeah. Yeah. I do too. Well, I'm not going to say once a month. It really depends. I'm actually due though to kind of update my house after I've done a bunch of kind of rearranging. But wherever you do your practices, your cleansing, your cleaning, definitely you want to clear out your house, clear out the energy. Hi, Sean or Shane. What do you mean specific noises, boo? Um, Most of the time the spirits around you are not bad. Most of the time they're actually just, sometimes they're wanderer spirits, sometimes there are your people, your ancestors you don't even know. That's why they feel unfamiliar, because you're like, who is this fucking lady? And she's like the great great grandmother you never fucking met or some shit. So a lot of times you think it's strangers, but it's not strangers. They're actually connected to you in some way, shape, or form. um Me personally, I believe, and this is my belief, not everybody else's. I believe a lot of our spirit guides are our past selves from past lives, that are helping us, because who better would know how to help you but your past self? So of course they don't look like us because their personality was different, but I believe that a lot of our spirit guides and people around us are actually our past selves. And you have to connect with them in a certain way. So all my team never feels foreign from me. They always feel like they're connected to me. So for me, that's how I've always taken it. And so when I think about who other people see, I just feel like it's connected to my past lives. Right, right, right. Spirit uses our imagination. Remember that. You guys know I teach mediumship. Spirit uses our imagination and what we know. So spirit uses what we know. Um, Most of the times we're in a very you ever notice that you're in a very chill mode when something's happening? You're in this very like chill mode or this almost sleep mode, and that's when all of a sudden you start hearing knocking or some shit and you're like, wait, what the fuck? You're in just this kind of state. Start paying attention to the, get aware of that state that you're in. Yeah. Yeah. And I think, I think people always you teach us different. And I'm not saying anyone, change their mindset of what they feel their spirits. But for me, my team, I feel like is directly connected to my life, my existence. So I feel like the people that are around me are different parts of my past lives, the different people that I have been, and the different personas I have taken up in my life. So that's how I feel.